This morning we are probably what you would call severe lazy butts. We woke up at 7 and decided to hit the snooze, and now it's like noon. So we were going to film a video today, and we're still going to film a video today, we're just moving slowly. The video we're filming today is...
We have lived in van life so that you don't have to.
So this is where we parked last night, and those are basically apartments, and that's a shopping complex over there. So, not always picturesque. So, let's go grab a cup of coffee. You know, it doesn't change in van life. Way to go, woman. She doesn't even have a mic to be able to defend herself.
I don't.
So we've lived in van life for 5 years. And
just under.
These are the lessons that we've learned. Why? Why would you ever want to do something like live in a van like a hobo or a hippie? Basically, you're going to spend a decent amount of time in coffee shops. Now, we recently got Starlink, and what we thought was going to completely replace coffee shops hasn't. It's given us the ability to work from anywhere, but we found that we still like going into a coffee shop, sitting down, and enjoying the local ambiance.
You will probably be spending majority of your evenings either finding a place to park or finding a place to shower or finding a place to grab groceries before you head into the woods. It's kind of like the quote where they're like, nobody told me about adulting, is that for the rest of my life I have to figure out what to eat 3 times a day. Van life kind of adds to it and is more like, I will now have to figure out where I'm going to park every single day for the rest of my life until you stop doing van life.
We've traveled and experienced, so done more than just drive through, over 27 states now, right?
Holy crap, that's hot.
Okay. We've done holy crap, that's hot number of states, and yeah. We're Alicia and Kodiak from the future. Well, I mean, technically the past, because this moment's gone, but you're watching it in the future. Anyways, if you like this content and you're looking towards, you know, getting into van life or dealing with relationships in van life or mountain biking or yoga, we're the NoCo Nomads. Hi. Give us a like, give us a sub, give us a follow. Let's get back to why we lived in van life so you didn't have to.
I just burned the crap out of my tongue.
Fun fact, that was an issue in the very beginning of our relationship, which was I would make tea too hot for her, and then she'd get mad at me for making the tea too hot, and I said tea's for sipping and for looking at, and she said tea's for drinking, so...
I was gonna say, but yes, we have been to like 27 states.
So we've experienced 27 states, and we've also done the van life in a city for a job. We basically come back to Colorado quite often, and then we'll spend a month or 2 or 3 in Fort Collins, Colorado. So when you're in town, it's interesting because you still fall into the same routines and habits that you have when, you know, you're living in a house, which is kind of interesting. So don't get into this just to try to break a habit, albeit...
You'll probably fall back into it.
Yeah, you'll probably fall back into it if you're in the same situation.
Another thing that I've learned is there is too much freedom. There's such a thing as too much freedom. And within the last year, 2 years, we have both realized that we need at least some routine. When we were out traveling, it was a whole lot of doing whatever we wanted, and then we would come back and it was way too much work. And so finding a routine that balances that work-life balance.
One of the things that's kind of ironic about it is that it really does put you in 60 square foot with all of your demons and no place to hide from them. The reason that a lot of people come out of van life and they are different people and they're spiritually changed and they're so much happier, it's not because van life does that. It's because it's do that or die.
Not literally. You probably wouldn't die, but it does make the experience more enjoyable if you like the person that you are and the person you're with in this case.
Instagram and YouTube makes it feel like you're going to get into van life, and then now all of a sudden you're going to have this fascinating life and you're going to be meeting people and talking to people and going out and doing cool downhill mountain biking things and flying around on a freaking inflatable kayak. None of those things happen unless you're going to make them happen. There's a reason that loneliness is the #1 van life killer. It's because you actually now have to seek your community. But that means that you can build your community too. We're gonna go walk the Sage Muffin and talk about some of the best things that came out of van life.
So I felt like it didn't flow super well. To the park. $1.
Oh, it's not focused. Wait, no. What was that?
I said ASMR, and then I snorted.
So now we are here to speak of the turtles. The turtles that fell from the sky on the day of Kittimau.
What?
So now that we're in a new location,
At the park.
let's talk about the good things. So
Let's talk about you and me.
one of the reasons that you get in van life is financial, totally. But the other reason is to be able to do things. And it's really rather impressive how much you can do in such a short period of time because you don't have the same sort of financial responsibilities that everybody else has. You're not going out and having to pay $2,000 on a mortgage and then on top of that another $500 for utilities and internet. No, you're paying $300 for a car payment. We're paying $300 for a car payment and $150 for internet. And then gas, which is basically, our
$100.
mortgage.
Yeah.
Or $6, depending on where we're driving.
It depends on how much we drive.
It's true.
For sure.
What are some of your favorite memories in van life?
Some of my favorite memories in van life have been the first trip we ever took in our red van, the first van. It was our maiden voyage for that van, and it was so scary, so surreal. I still had a 9-to-5 job. We were still going to come back here. But we drove out to Las Vegas and then all the way to California and then through Texas to Louisiana and then back up through Oklahoma to Colorado. And so that was a long trip to start with, but it really did set us up for success because we learned so much in the first week.
2 weeks.
2
That was a
weeks.
2-week trip. That was way too fast.
Yeah, I don't recommend it if you're actually trying to see the things. If you're just trying to get a feel of what living out of your car is like, I would highly recommend just giving yourself a maiden voyage. Maybe not as far as we went, maybe to a neighboring state. That is one of my favorite memories. Another one is going to Oregon with our friends. So they had just built out a trailer and we went up through California, the northern part of California, and then through Oregon and then back out. And that was overall just a really cool trip. It was fun to be able to do something like that with our friends and not be retired 60-year-old people. What are some of your favorite memories?
Some of my favorite memories are Halloween in Arkansas. That was super, super cool. We walked around the town. Everyone was dressed up. There was supposed to be this big party that was going to go on in Hot Springs, and there wasn't. But, it was still a super cool atmosphere to walk around. They have a really cool brewery there. That's just one of those memories that I look back on and I'm like, wow, that was really cool. And nothing monumental happened. There wasn't anything that I was like, oh my gosh, this one guy jumped over a car and did 2 backflips. No, it was just cool to walk around.
Van life allows you to travel to places that you wouldn't normally want to travel to, and you might discover something that you really like. We both really liked Arkansas. It was fall, so it wasn't the middle of the summer or anything, but both Kansas and Arkansas have made higher up on our lists, and they're not vacation places.
Probably Christmas Eve in Moab. That was really cool. We still came back, but we basically ran away. We were up here in Colorado working with clients, and it was supposed to get down to negative 17 for a week and a half straight, right before Christmas. And we were like, yeah, no, we're not doing that. So we basically left and went across the Continental Divide there and ended up spending the week or 2 weeks prior to Christmas in Moab. It was super cool. We ended up going out to a dinner, and since it's sort of their off season, it wasn't busy. Worked at a coffee shop there. It's another one of those small moments that just make the big bucket list. Moab in the summer is just busy, or
And
in the
hot.
spring. And if you're worried about the stigma that living in a van is going to bring, that stigma is only relevant to you. It's really dependent on how you tell them how you own that. If you own it and you're like, I'm living in a van to travel, I'm living in a van because freaking the housing market is psychotic, I'm living in a van for X, Y, or Z, and you have those reasons and they're justified in your mind, no one's going to think twice about it.
All in all, everybody just wants to be happy. And so do what makes you happy.
Outcomes of van life.
So the outcomes of van life, the results, we have saved money. We have traveled to over half the states and experienced. So that doesn't include states that we've driven through but haven't stopped to do anything. Even if we stop to get gas, those don't count.
Or slept there for a night.
Which is pretty cool because most people, that makes their bucket list is visiting all the states. And we have been in for 5 years, and I wouldn't say that we had that many states crossed off before we got into van life. And now we are over halfway there, and we're planning on finishing it out in the next couple of years. We saved money. That actually has implications like we've been able to try more things and experience more hobbies and eat great food and
build businesses that failed.
Yeah,
like tried to do different things that other people would not have been able to do because they had a financial,
burden over their head. Yeah, for sure. The last one is I feel like we've really experienced and figured out more about ourselves in the last 5 years.
The amount of trauma that we worked through, both of us, has just been ridiculous. I don't think you can have an existence here and not gather some form of trauma when you're growing up. Just like even if your parents are the best intentioned, if you don't have time to work through it, you don't work through it.
Right. And everybody's human and everybody makes mistakes.
Yeah.
If you don't give yourself time to figure out how to deal with the little things that accumulated, then it can sour you.
You just pass that trauma forward too.
Yeah. We've changed a lot and become people that I think are interesting people. It's definitely given us the ability to focus on our relationship as well, which we got into van life right after we got married. And so
at that point we were together for 5 years.
Yeah, so it's not like
we moved into a van.
But it has improved our relationship. We've really gotten to know the other person a lot. And I know that relationships are tough just in general. And when you cram them into 60 square feet, you are kind of forced to deal with things that pop up between the two of you because you can't let it fester because there's nowhere to go. So all in all, would we do it again? Would you do it again?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
We're not planning on stopping. So, yeah. No, I would definitely, I would have started again. It is really scary to sell all your stuff. So go for it.
So we lived in van life, so you didn't have to. But we highly recommend that you do that.
If you like traveling,
traveling.
Definitely for you. And if you want to save money, it could be for you too.
Yep.